Welcome back. Another painting day. I've got something really strange. We're going with rats. We're going with a rat monster of all things. Another gift that somebody has given me, so I thought it would be interesting to sort of go through this, paint it up, make it look like something, because I honestly thought that I wouldn't touch it, but it really sort of jumped out at me as a monster I would be interested in. So feel free to grab your own paints and miniatures and so forth. You're welcome to ask questions because I will certainly answer them, and let's go straight into it, no mucking around. Hi, welcome to How to D&D. My name is Fred Wheeler, and today I'm going to be doing some painting. We're going to paint the Rataclysm. Yes, that's right. It's not a cataclysm, it's a Rataclysm. And it's not a Nolzur's miniatures, it's actually something else. It's done by Animal Adventures, The Secrets of Gullet Cove, I believe. And it is bat crazy. This thing is just enormous and horrible to look at. And I am hoping that I can kind of paint it up something like this. We'll see. You never know with these things. I've spent quite a lot of time preparing it, and it wasn't getting rid of the layer, the mold lines or anything like that. It was other things that I was having to deal with. And I'll explain that in a second. But first off, let's get the Q&A going. Hashtag question dot. Please. And so feel free, if anybody wants to ask questions about Dungeons & Dragons, I am happy to answer those sorts of questions because that's what I do on this channel. Anyway, this is the miniature. It has essentially one main head and two extra heads that are popping out the side. So it looks absolutely nasty as. It's crazy looking. Huge clawed hands with chains that are broken off, a tail. And yes, it certainly is, it's a large creature. So what I thought I would do is I've put all the paints I'm going to use, I'll put it down in the description. I'm going to hit this thing pretty hard with a variety of different colours, but I'm going to work my way from black, grey, I've got a couple of greys, and then I'm going to go into sort of a bluey grey as well, and then we'll start putting in the other colours after that. So yes, starting off with Vallejo black. So what can I tell you about this thing? As I said, the Animal Adventures Secrets of Gullet Cove. This is the box set. It comes with 4 were-rats and a were-rat king and a jester that he's sitting on top of. And then there's this Rataclysm, which I think is just enormously fun. So I'm really looking forward to giving this a go. I am going to shift over and stick this on a little pill bottle with some blue tack, because otherwise it is just going to be impossible to handle, and hopefully it stays put. And we'll go with this. I've got a really shite brush, and I don't think I'm going to need to water that down, so we're just going to go fairly quickly. Yes, so this is the box set itself is the Rat King of Gullet Cove, and my family gave it to me for my birthday, I believe. My 50th birthday, and I thought, well, okay. They said, well, you're going to paint it? And I went, well, probably not, but that's not true. I am. I'm painting it right now. And we'll get the black on as fast as we can. Now, I do also have a beholder, and I was tempted to actually paint that. Hello, Fender. Fender is a patron. Thank you, Fender, for being a patron. And Steely Sam's here. Mini painting, yes. Let's go. That's right, let's go. Yeah. I'm sure everybody knows about Sam. Sam has his own YouTube channel, does a lot of shorts. And yes, you don't see my face in here. I mean, seriously, do you need to see my face in a video? Occasionally it happens. It's like a luxury, if you ask me. And what I think I'm going to do with this, because there was a couple of different paint jobs that I'd seen people do. One was sort of like a white to pink, and good Lord, do I hate pink. I just don't like the idea of putting pink all over this thing. But green because I feel like this is like a monstrosity, maybe not so much rotting, but the green appealed to me far more than a pink. I don't know, Sam. I don't. Your face is much more desirable than my own. I think we're going to just be fair about that. I got a few years on you, mate. Anyway, as you guys might have guessed, my voice is getting better. I am still sort of slowly but surely recovering, and I am still on holiday, and as a result of that, I am just cruising. And so I thought I would do some painting. And that's the plan for today. What was the... now, preparing this thing. Mold lines. When I was dealing with the mold lines, there's actually so few mold lines. It's a really good miniature. Seriously, people. This thing was just amazing in terms of cleanup. Now, what small mold lines there are do happen to be in places where there is significant detail, and so that is a bit of a drag. I would say that's an absolute reality for anybody who's wanting to paint this thing. They are in places that you don't want them to be. That's true. Let's get some more. And then once I'd done that, the cleanup of the mold lines wasn't really the big issue. I found it's because it's an unprimed miniature, it comes unprimed, you have to do that. I had to clean it down with soapy water. I know some people like isopropyl alcohol, and that's fine, you can do that. Some plastics don't like that, but this seems to be a pretty high quality plastic, so you could probably do that. I just used toothbrush and hot soapy water and cleaned it down thoroughly so that when I was priming it, it would work. Now, I think that using a spray primer, which is what I used, was probably the wrong thing to do. There's so many nooks and crannies in this thing to try to get at, and if I was smart, I would have gone with a quick spray and finish off with a brush, because there are just too many angles. And of course, the more paint you have to spray on with your spray can to try to get in the right place, or even an airbrush, the more likely you are to lose the details. I was alright, didn't happen. A Rataclysm, that's right. I don't know what a Rataclysm is. That's the thing that I love about this monster. It's the sort of thing you stick on the table and your players will like, well, that's not in the monster manual. What the heck is that? That's happened to me a few times with some of the other miniatures that I've used from Reaper Bones and various things. So yeah, absolutely. But yes, I would say your smart approach for dealing with the priming of this little sucker is do not spray the whole thing. Spray just part of it, do the major areas, and then go with a brush primer to finish off. I think that is probably going to be the easiest way to deal with everything. Now, here's the problem. Because I'm only painting one miniature, the drying time is going to be a problem. I can just see it now. We're going to have problems with it not drying fast enough to put on the next lot of paint. And you're probably wondering, why am I worrying about black paint when I could just wash the miniature later to get all the cracks and so forth? It's because if I go black and then grey, all the little details will start to stand out if I just dry brush it, and you'll be able to see a lot of what's going on. Right now, you can't see diddly squat probably. It just looks like a big black mess. A cat's worst nightmare. That's right, exactly. A cat's worst nightmare. Probably the player's worst nightmare, if you ask me to. Okay, so let's just check everything around here. Oh, that funny noise, that was not me farting. Okay. Right, inside the hand, get in there. And I think it is just a cursory look now, and then just select and shake up the next color. Okay, all right. Put that down. Put my brush down. Have a quick look to see if I've missed any places. And I think I've got pretty much everything. Okay. Now, if I was smart, I'd have like a hairdryer with me. So this is your opportunity to ask me as many questions as you possibly can. Okay? Because while we're waiting for the paint to dry, do you know what could be worse than actually watching grass grow, like watching cricket But that's my view of cricket. If you like cricket, I apologise, but I'm not into it. What could be the worst thing that you could do in a live stream? You could have people watch black paint dry. I mean, does it not get more appalling than that as video content? Yes, it does. Will it spit rats? Well, actually, I think that's something you should consider adding to it. I would have it spit rats. Okay, what am I doing next? We're going to grab this stuff. I've been using these marvellous... Oh, what's that, Sam? What do you do for a living? I work as a health support worker. I am a rehabilitation coach. So basically that means I work with people who have mental illness, brain injuries, behavioural stuff going on, a lot of health issues, and I'm in a locked site. Basically there's padlocks and locks and keys everywhere. And as a result of that, that means that, it's a difficult job. It's one of the hardest jobs I've ever done. It pays better than anything I've ever done before, but I don't think I'm going to last that long. So I better get better at painting, Sam. I better get better at painting. Okay, so yes, absolutely. So this is the Dungeon Stone colour I'm going to put over this thing. That's from the Nolzur's Marvellous Pigments, the Monster Paint set. That's all down in the description if you're really interested. If you're not, don't worry about it because I don't care. I'm just going to paint it today. All right. So we're going to go with the dry brush, and that will hopefully pick out a lot of the detail so you can actually see what's going on with this thing. And then I am going to hit it with 2 other colours after that so that it's a little bit more obvious what's going on here, because right now it's not. It just looks like a big black thing. All right, where's a paper towel? There we go. Here's a paper towel. We'll start in the front of the gut of this thing and then go from there. Oh. You know, Sam, I have been thinking very hard about YouTube Shorts, which I'm still not convinced about doing. But I'm thinking, like, what is my thing that I've done in the past or done now that would work with Shorts? And, do you know, just turning a miniature around in a circle seems like the most sensible thing to do. Maybe talking very briefly about it, but maybe not even that. Like 15 seconds, like really short. Okay, let's see what happens if we put this on. Will you be able to start seeing what's going on with the miniature? Okay, that sort of worked a little bit. I don't need to be too worried about it because we're going to go over it with a couple of different colours. But if I do that in the drier sections, you'll be able to see some of the details of the miniature. And good Lord, there are a lot of details on this thing. There's a lot going on. Okay, right, so let's have a look at another section that's kind of dry. We can kind of attack the top section, I think. And there is a lot going on there. There's a lot of hair, a lot of heads. 3 heads to deal with. Okay, all right. There we go. We'll have to tack a bit more paint on there. We can get onto the hand. That hand is dry, so we can start attacking the hand. What's that? So for me, I asked myself, what do I like to watch and who inspires me? Right. Understood. Let me guess. Who inspires you? Did you go with AJ Pickett and Mr. Rex? Let me guess. Who else? Jordan, maybe? Dungeon Dad? Anybody else? Because you do a lot of short lore videos, right? The second question was, how can I D&D-fy their content? Right. That's smart. I think in terms of Dungeons and Dragons content that people want to watch, lore is the one thing that is evergreen. People always want that. You know, that's always been a high draw factor. So, but it's not really my thing. Although monsters are definitely my thing, and I suppose you could say that kind of ties into that, but it's not quite the same. Okay, now I'm going to get this name ballsed up. I'm going to try really hard though. Perez. I'm not going to get your name right. How stuff is the plastic? It's not Games Workshop plastic. It's actually pretty good plastic. So don't worry about that. Your plastic is pretty good. Yeah. I was pretty happy with the quality of the plastic, if you were wondering. And the more we hit this thing, the more details you will see. It'll start to stand out a little bit more, which is good. All right, so where can we go now? We'll try that hand there. I was trying to, do you know, if there's anything that is more interesting and fun to do is painting monsters. I think monster painting is the one thing I enjoy. I have character miniatures, but I'm never that interested in painting them. Not to mean they're really small, so that's pain. I love those creators, but I meant inspiration outside of D&D. Ah, okay, all right. Right, okay, I get it. Understood. Yeah, because I see over the years I have done quite a bit of miniature painting, but I've hidden a lot of those videos. Something I'm actually going to stop doing. I'm going to stop hiding all of my live streams and just hope that eventually YouTube gets their act together and realizes there needs to be a different standard for shorts, edited video and live stream, that they can't all work on the same criteria. That it's a different thing. One of the things too I also noticed with live streams is that 90% of my subscribers, so the vast majority of people who are subscribed to me, watch the live streams, particularly the painting. So that's interesting. I thought that was interesting compared to like 80% of people who aren't subscribed to me who are watching my edited videos. So yes. So you can see there's all sorts of muscle, you know, that is pulled across this thing. And you can probably start to see the two heads that are coming out of the sides of this thing as well, not just the main head and the top. Well, I hope you can. Okay, all right, so I think that's working pretty well. We're going to keep going with this. This is working pretty well if you ask me. You fell in love with those creators and felt that there was a space. Right, fair enough. We are. I'm assuming, Sam, that we are eventually going to see you on the Dungeon Master Roundtable, right? Or are you waiting for the North American schedule to open up? I hope we do. I think everybody assumes that they don't have necessarily enough to offer. There's been a few people who said they weren't, you know, big enough, and I'm like, oh, yeah, whatever. Or they were too small. It's not like you're small. You're not small. It's just finding the comfort zone. So yes, you need to let me know at some time when you're ready to come and hang out with the rest of us. And I mean not in a live chat. I mean in a video conference, because that's where the real fun is. Now, you're going to help me. You're going to help me with your name, because I am going to struggle with your name. You were at the top of my suggestion feed, so there's that. Well, that's interesting. Well, I think most of my stuff doesn't usually get suggested. It's very, very rare that people watch my stuff from suggested. So if that's happening, that's interesting. Okay, so you guys can kind of see there are some details in there. We are going to go to a lighter color. I am loathed to wash this out in water, because it probably won't be enough. Now, right now, I believe, now Sam, as of the 14th of October, I have a 4-week window opening up after I get Ryan in. So we're finishing up with Denny, Dicely D&D, and then we'll move on to Ryan from his channel, and he'll have 4-week period. I'm not going to try and do any new people. I'm not going to try and do 2 new people at the same time. It's just not fair, because everybody else is like itching to get back in there, and I've got to put them off for like weeks and weeks and weeks. So, all right, thank you. Okay, Rancho Land, thank you for that. Enrique. Okay, you'll tell me if Enrique is wrong. Okay, so I'm going to ditch that brush. We're going to move on to another colour. I've hit it with the grey that I wanted to use, which was the Dungeon Grey. It's quite a dark one. We're going to go with the Orc Skin, which is lighter. It's not a huge amount, but there's a slight difference. So we're going to grade it up slowly but surely. I better make sure I shake the thing. Enrique Perez, phonetically speaking. That's exactly what I want, is the phonetics. Because you got to remember, phonetics in South America, North America, and New Zealand would be different. They're not going to be the same. I know a lot of people assume that that's the case, but it's just not. Close enough. Yeah, that's the way. Yeah, exactly. All right. So, got my paint. Yeah, sure. I'm definitely up for a roundtable discussion. Right. So, yeah. Now, if I got you here and I got you talking about it, Sam, which is good news, the question is, if I say, do you want to do, what would be the 21st of October for 4 weeks, and then after that, I've got, Esper the Bard. Esper the Bard, we're going to give Esper a Bard a chance to recover from doing his book, and then he's going to come on. Which means, if you're already part of the table, there's a chance you might be able to hang out with Esper during his 4-week stint. Because the idea is you don't just come once, we call you back. That's the hope, is people will want to come back. I don't know what part of the world you are in. Okay, so now this is going to really show things up now, because it's a much lighter colour. So for those of you who wanted to actually see some of the details, you'll be able to start seeing them now. How's that? What do you think of that? That's not too bad, eh? In terms of a monster and having lots of features on it, oh, nice. Really nice. And it was the right idea to grab a different brush, because I don't think the other one would have been dry enough just yet. Okay. All right, so let's put some more paint on there. So Sam, you know the Discord. Just let me know in the Discord. Who will I be with? Sam. So this is the thing. You know who's on that Discord. You know that AJ Pickett's there. You know that Dungeon Dad is there. You know that Jordan's there. Mr. Rex is there. I don't know that Jordan or Mr. Rex will show up, but I know that AJ and Dungeon Dad would show up for sure. Guaranteed. In fact, I have to beat them away with a stick, mate. And you've got Wally DM. I'm sure you know Wally. He will definitely show up. If you ask him, can I have Wally there? Then Wally will be there. Mark or Gonzo from Dungeon Class, if you wanted to meet those guys. Who else is there? There's Dawn or Ryan from Roll for Initiative. There's me, of course. Who else is in there that you might be interested in meeting? Let me see. There is Indestructo Boy. He hasn't been on yet, but you know, I'm sure that's going to happen. We've got Denny, if you wanted to meet Denny from Dicely D&D. We've got Fulkid from Loots and Dice now in the pattern. Who else? Well, you know what I mean. Do you know who's in there? You just say, oh, can they show up? Could they come to one of them? We'll make it happen. I'm just going to warn you now, okay? AJ Pickett and Dungeon Dad combined is like a tornado. Tornado, mate. They are fun to be around. Super fun. Very, very funny. So is Mark. And I get along like a house on fire with Wally DM. We started all of this together, basically. And so, yes, there's a few people there. You just need to say, who would I like to have there? Who would I like to have show up? Or you could always say, Fred, I'm going to wait until Esper the Bard comes through, and then maybe I can get Esper to show up during during some of these meetings. But it doesn't matter, because, you know, the reality is, if you keep coming back, you're going to meet them eventually anyway. I keep trying to tell it to people. It's like, yeah, just give it time. It's not all going to happen all at once. Wow. This is working out really, really well. Nice. Talk about a monster. We are not going stark white on this baby. Yeah. Look, do you know how long it took me to get Mr. X, AJ Pickett and Jordan together? It bombed the first time. I managed to get Dungeon Dad, Jordan and AJ together. And then after that, the reality was that I just could not find a way to get anywhere with Mr. X. And AJ's like, well, come on, you can sort that out. And I was like, dude, you're the one who's full-time. So he never got a response from Mr. X. But this time he did get a response from Mr. X. And Mr. X said, okay, maybe. And it happened. So now people will be able to enjoy them talking D&D for quite a long time, because they've got their own schedule now. So the Lawmasters will be in. And I can assure you that it is interesting to find out who is full-time and who is not. It is one thing that I had to struggle with, because I'm not full-time, you see. Are you going to Zenithal highlights? I am going to highlight a lot more of this, but right now I am just hitting it with this particular grey. I'll come back with it on another colour again, which will go lighter. I'm not using Citadel paints, if you're wondering. Okay, I mean, the paints that I'm using, they're actually just a army painter paint that has been rebranded for Dungeons and Dragons. So it's not like you need to worry about if you see that there and it says okay, Nolzur's paints, don't worry about it. Army painter paints are actually exactly the same. They have all these colors as well. Okay, so am I happy with that? Let's have a good look at it. What do you reckon? Does that not look ferocious? We'll get some more going on in there. Okay, so next paint colour, we're going to go with the Gelatinous blue, which is lighter again than the orc grey. You can see, can you see that? I don't know. There's a slightly different shade to it, basically. So you'll find the people who are talking in Schedule B in the Discord group, they are full-time. I don't actually deal with any of that. AJ Pickett deals with all of that. They're full-time. And yeah, AJ's the one to talk about the full-timers, because it was too difficult for me to get my head around. And yeah. Okay, this is going to be so much lighter than the other colours that I've put on. So this is going to kind of look, this is going to go white really, really fast, people. Okay, let's do this. Just brush off around there. Do you see what I mean? It went whiter very, very fast, and that's because it's a lot lighter. Oh yeah. Oh, sweet. We haven't even got into the painting, all the details, and although I think frankly it isn't going to matter too much. I'm not saying that I'll just do this and just stick it on the table. Yes, I mean full-time YouTube. Yeah. Yeah. Schedule B are the full-time YouTubers. And as I said, AJ Pickett deals with them. Although I suspect a lot of people assume that it's Mr. Rex, but it's not. It's AJ, who organises all of that. And Trevor from No Fun Allowed. I don't know if you know Trevor. You probably do. I think you do know No Fun Allowed. Trevor from No Fun Allowed. He's looking after the North American schedule. So what's your favourite monster, people? Tell me a monster that you like. And you can't go with the Rataclysm. That's too easy a response. Yeah. So yes, you could have Trevor come on. Trevor would be quite happy to come on. In fact, Trevor will more than likely be happy to have people jump onto the North American schedule. He is just deciding what time it would be, and I suspect he's going to pick a weekend day at a time that is suitable for him, which is fine. Makes perfect sense to me. I'm happy with that idea. So for everybody who ever wanted to see all of these different YouTubers that they known for years and years and years talking to each other, oh mate, she's happening. Knowles. You like Knowles? Ah, okay. The demon hyena. I'm partial to mimics. But this coming Friday, I'm hanging out with... who is it? I'm hanging out with Wally, DM, and I'm also hanging out with Denny from Dicely D&D, and with Dawn. Getting Dawn on is always fun. From No Fun, from not No Fun, from Roll for Initiative, and we're going to talk about the Mind Flayer and how to use the Mind Flayer in fun and interesting and probably crazy bat nuts ways. We had so much fun doing these. They were so much fun to shoot. We laughed so hard at some of the things that people came up with. So I decided we've got to do it again. And then what was the other? I think the other one was. Can I remember? Yes, the Yeti, because I like the Yeti a lot. So yes, we're going to talk about the Yeti, Mind Flayer, and there's two other monsters which on the top of my head I cannot remember. And I'm not actually going to talk about the Mimic, primarily because I feel like it is too easy a topic to talk about. Because what can you not do with a Mimic? What's that? Fender. Kobolds are fun to build dungeons around. Yes. Now, the only reason I'm not doing that is because I believe that Mark and Gonzo from Dungeon Class did a video on that, and I really wanted to not jump on to topics that they'd already done, like the Gelatinous Cube or the Beholder or anything like that, so that people actually go and watch their videos rather than watching mine, but still in the same sort of vein and style. It is a cunning way to promote somebody else's stuff while trying to make stuff yourself. At least for you. That's fine. Steely Sam, have you reached out to Cody from Taking 20? Yes, I have. I've talked to Cody. I don't think Cody is really up for that. Cody has been stung too many times. And I won't go any more than to that. He's been down this road, so I think it's best to leave him alone. Yeah, he did send me a friend request on Discord, but I've sort of kept out of his way, and I think that's probably best for a while. As for talking to XP to level 3, Jacob, no, I haven't talked to Jacob. Frankly, I've contacted a lot of different big YouTubers, okay, and sometimes the response has been good, sometimes it hasn't been so great. Sometimes there's been no response at all, but one of the things I have noticed is that it is difficult for me to organise something with people who are full-time, which is why I haven't really pursued some of the other, and I would say they would essentially be one of the few individuals that I haven't approached. Jacob would be one of the few. Okay, I've approached Dave at Nerdarchy, and that's complicated, so I'm not going to talk about it here. It's not off the cards, but it's complicated. What else? Enrique, what do you got here? Cheers from Chicago. Time for bed. Fair enough, mate. See you later. Hi, Milton. How's it going? My favourite mortals will favour... dear. Mate, this thing looks just horrific. Absolutely horrific. Okay, so let's give it a turn and a spin on for you, and I will. Shall I pull it off? No, I'll see if I can. No, that's just going to look like shit if I'm going to pull it off. So I'll move that out of the way. Let us give this a spin and a turn so you can kind of see a lot of the detail. If I could not convince you that this thing was worth painting, you can see why I picked it. It is just horrific, and there's so much detail on this little thing. You can see all the hair down the back, you can see the flesh in the front and the folds of skin. It is going to obviously look better once I start picking out the heads and dealing with some of the other colours that need to go in there. But how's that for just terrifying? I think it's pretty good if you ask me. Okay, so back to colour. We've got quite a lot done today. It has been half an hour and I got heaps done. So we're going to go back to a different colour, and I don't know if you guys remember seeing the picture of this thing, but this is what I'm kind of aiming for. Something like this. If I can get something like that, that would be awesome. I'm a little unsure about whether I want to go so white, but we're gonna give it a go. We're aiming for that. We are not aiming for a pink finish. If anybody who says, "Oh, what about pink?" Don't even say it. Don't even say it. I'm not doing it. I do not feel like every miniature needs to be pink. Just because it's a rat doesn't mean it has to have pink skin. No. All right, back to this thing. Back to the workstation. It looks like my ex. Oh, gorgeous. Okay, nice. Love it. What's that, Milton? Your mini looks a lot different from the last time, but I'm not sure why. It's because it's a totally different miniature. I'm painting a different miniature today. Was that the confusion? Is that because I shifted from the Bahia over to this one? Right, so we're going to go with white. I know I said I don't know about it, but we're doing it. I'm aiming for the target picture. Hot pink highlights. No, don't even say it. Stop it. It does look nasty, doesn't it, Fender? Absolutely. What about purple? I don't know about purple. I don't. Everything has to be purple if it's evil. I just don't feel like I feel in that. Now, whose is this? This is M14SRV. Albino Ratto Cuto. Yeah, I don't know that it's that cute. I'm using Vallejo white, for those of you who are wondering. Why am I using Vallejo white and not the other white that comes with the Nolzur's line? Because why would I bother when I have this one? That's why. I'm having trouble getting it to come out. Why is that? Okay, all right, it's done. Let's do this. Brown highlights. Oh, no. Brown highlights might be down the back where the hair is, but for the front, I am definitely aiming, and the arms, I'm definitely aiming for a more white color to it, I think. Just because it's going to really stand out a lot. Okay, is that going to stay put? That's the question, isn't it? All right, let's try this. Make it happen. Flip my piece of paper over. Make the fatal mistake of having darker paint on the brush when I don't want it. Okay, let's give this a shot in the front. Okay, alright. Oh, how's my lid coming off? Oh, there we go, it's on now. Feet in the front, down the side. Yes, I shifted over to a different brush for my dry brushing, if you were wondering. You can't tell me that any person couldn't do this. This is like super simple, right? This is not that hard. It's pretty simple. Bubble gum and hot pink. Fake pieces of candy on it. Oh no, I don't think so. I don't think so. Nice try. So I'm going to have to get quite a lot of white onto this miniature now, aren't I? Don't know how easy that's going to be, but we'll see. We're getting there. Around the top of the head, around the side of the head. Yes, I know I've gone over sections that had hair on it. Don't worry about it. We'll fix it up later. I'm just going with it, mate, because things are working out pretty well today for me. There's usually some collateral damage when I'm painting miniatures sometimes, and so this, if I don't have collateral damage today, then that's awesome as far as I'm concerned. What's that, Milton? You should name it Moxie or Mr. Muffy. Mr. Fluffy? No, you know. You've never painted a miniature, Fender. I feel like I could screw it up easily. Yeah, but anybody can. Anybody can. It doesn't matter. Paint's one of those things where you just paint over the top. You just do it again. And you get better at it. That's the reality. M14. I'm just going to call you M14. Makes it a little bit easier for me, okay? Green stuff. Dem Dungries. Called. I'm not sure what that's all about. You can see some of the mold lines, and I did consider trying to take out the mold line going through there, but there's too many lines that I would have affected. What have I done here? Is it all gummed up or something? Halt! There was a big blockage. Did you guys see that? That's a mistake. That's what happens when a mistake occurs. If anybody was wondering, oh, does Fred make mistakes? Yep. It happens. Blockage in the bottle and boom. Big, huge puddle of white paint. Here you go. This is what happened when it went blip. I don't know, you guys probably heard it, right? It was like a release. And now I have way too much white. And my brush is covered in it. Ah dear. Okay, alright, so we're working our way through the hands. I am a little concerned that I'm going to wind up putting too much on in the wrong places. So what I'm doing is I'm attacking it with the white, and I'm doing it a couple of times, and it becomes more and more white, closer to what I'm after, and less the dark black and the other colors. And anything I miss, it doesn't matter, because I have those other grades of grey to help fill in the gaps. And we're going to leave the back end of it as much as I can. I will work on the arms a bit more. Happy accidents, that's right, that's the Bob Ross way, isn't it? I don't really know much about Bob Ross, frankly, but I do know that Gonzo makes a fantastic Bob Ross. I don't know if anybody's ever seen the picture that they put on the thumbnail. It was funny. Maybe mix grey in slowly. I've already used two different greys, one blue grey and now I'm working the white. I'm reasonably happy with it so far. And there's always the wash after to fix up anything that got too much white in it. And I'm going to be working green into this thing at some point. But first let's just hit it with this. And the claws, I'm going with brown. What's that, Milton? I know there's a rumour about Bob Ross that he did landscape painting. But the twist is that they were all places where he had the bodies. Where he what? Where he had the bodies? I'm confused. I am confused. What are you trying to tell me here? Had the bodies? Had the bodies? Is this what you... Sounds very, very strange, whatever you're trying to say. Okay, so as you can see, the front is becoming whiter and whiter, and I'm going to grab this here and brush this off a bit, and then we're going to go back over the hand very, very quickly around the muscle. Is this paint now technically tested on rats? Yes, it has been tested on rats, yep. But we didn't. The good news is that these paints were not tested on rats until they were first tested on humans. How's that? For those of you who are animal lovers and feel like everything should be tested on something else, I mean, we don't want to use animal testing. What are we going to test it on? How do you test something? Let's just test it on the original humans we were planning to use it on in the first place. And then we can use it on the animals. That's the way. Look, I like animals too, mate. Don't get me wrong. I like animals too. But I've always found that a rather odd and funny statement. And I remember talking to one of my friends about it because he had done animal testing. And he said, you know, we could do it the other way around and just go straight for the humans, but I'm sure people would make more of a song and dance about that. Okay, so we could go swimming in the white that I've squeezed out here. Hid dead bodies. It's a joke. Did he? So did now, is it a joke, or did Bob Ross actually hide bodies? It's an old... Okay. It's an old joke? Okay, all right. Has that been confirmed as an actual joke, or is that legitimate? It was supposed to be a joke, but it's actually true. You have gone down a dangerous path. If you have not figured it out watching my channel, there are certain things that I just will say for the sake of saying things. No matter how bad and inappropriate they might be, because there is no joke that I can't play with and make far worse. Trust me. It's a joke. All right, okay. Had John Cena pictures in every painting. Did he? Oh, really good. I'm against animal testing, but I'm not against human testing. I like humans a lot less than animals. That's good. Love it. Yeah, we don't need the humans. We've got plenty of them. Oh, dear. Funny, there's quite a few people who feel the same way, apparently. Now I'm going into really dark territory. If you guys haven't figured out what I'm hinting at, I'm not going to say. Anyway, now that we are working our way quite nicely through the rat creature, I am definitely going to hit this thing with the brown on the back. but there's no way I can do it with this brush because it's way too big. So I'm going to go with a slightly smaller brush, still dry brushing. For those of you who are thinking, this is far too hard. No, I can't do this. No. We're going to keep this. We're going to keep everything fairly simple. So I'm going to turn it over, and you can see that there is brown. This is fur. So we're going to hit the fur with a dark brown, and then I'm going to go lighter. I've got another lighter brown here. So Owlbear brown followed by Minotaur hide. I know it's not a hide. Don't give me a hard time. He's already jumped on me and I haven't even said anything. Okay, let's shake this up and give this a go. I'll just have to be a little bit careful. I can't just stroke wildly like a mad thing. I will have to kind of aim the paint somewhere. Although it might even be better not to have a wider brush, but to have... See, that's a pretty smashed up brush. We could use that. We'll try that and see how that works. No, we're going to come to that later. I'm going to get the most of it done. So, this brush is a really cheap, nasty brush from a $2 shop, which is basically like a Chinese emporium. Okay? Cost me hardly anything, which means you can do it. Let's turn that over, put that down that way. Okay, we're all doing all right. And then we'll just brush off some of the brown. And then we'll see what happens if we stroke along here. It should start bringing off some of the brown onto the furry bit. And yes, it will hit some of the skin section. Don't worry, we'll fix it up. Humans are my second least favourite animals. My most hated animals are gnomes, and they keep crying. What is it with gnomes? I had a dungeon master who hated gnomes. I know that Sam doesn't particularly like gnomes because I was watching your video today, Sam, about the ranking for the Castle Candlekeep Mysteries Adventures, and you were mentioning how you didn't like gnomes. But I am sort of, is the reason that people don't like gnomes because they just don't like gnomes, or is it because of the way that people have played gnomes in the past by being kind of like dicks? Because often there's a tendency to pick up a gnome as a character, right? I know because it's happened in my table. And to get prestidigitation and just do a whole lot of things that will annoy everybody. Is that what's going on there? Is that part of the hate on them? I don't know. I am asking. Okay. Get into there, a bit more brown, bit more brown, bit more brown, bit more brown. Brush is widening out, so I'm probably going to have to shift to the other one in a second. What's that? M14. Gnomes and children are easy to stray away from or drop kick over a fence. Well, I've got a 2-year-old in my house, so I do not have quite that attitude. I kind of feel that's a little bit unfair. A little bit unfair. But whatever your experience, I understand. For me, it's not going to be the same. Okay, this brush isn't going to work. I'm going with the other one. I used to like gnomes, but they keep crying. Oh, okay, and my characters keep keep having to take care of them. And now there's a lot of men jokes about my characters. And okay, all right. So something's going on at the table with the gnomes. All right, let's move on to this one. So slightly, still going to, it's just still an old brush, and I'm still going to stroke it. I'm still going to stroke it with this brush like I'm dry brushing, trying to get the brown on there rather than have the white. There we go. That's working all right. Build that up a little bit. Get a bit more brown. Where's the brown? Now the dark one, the darker brown is probably not going to be as useful as the lighter one. Once I hit it with the light one, it should work a lot better. Okay. I know what you're already thinking, those of you who are into painting. Am I here tomorrow? Probably. Still on holiday. So unless something bad happens, I'll be back. We will continue with the Rataclysm. But right now, we are browning up the fur. And it is not as easy as I thought. I thought it would be a little bit easier than this, but it's not. It's actually kind of difficult. Dirty jokes about gnomes. Ah, right, okay. Yeah, I know that one. I got it. Understood. I understood. I know there are usually dirty jokes revolving around gnomes. It is a player thing. It is ultimately a player tendency, mucking around with the gnomes. It's got nothing to do with the gnomes themselves, I'm sure. Alright, so we've got a lot of hair on this end. That's right. You have showed up to watch me paint the rear end of a rat creature with hair brown. I'm just going to point that out to you. You are so lucky they did not include the poop hole, because then I'd be making poop jokes. Might still do that too anyway. Okay, all right. So that's got that, most of that. We're almost done with this color, and we'll move on to the next one. Now, for those of you who are wondering, well, what about all the big white sections? Well, that's what the dark wash will be for. A dark wash will eliminate most of the areas that are still too white. Does that make sense? Okay, on top, on the top, there. Down the side, there's definitely hair there. There's still a lot of hair right there. We're going to get some more paint on there, and then lighten it up. Bump, 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 bump. Yeah. Okay. Not too bad. A little bit more there. Okay. I think we've got most of the brown where I need it to go. The thing is, I don't need to be perfect about it, because if you use more than one color on a section, then you can actually sort of go back over it again. It's not a big deal. Okay, so I hit it with the Owlbear brown, and now we're gonna, man, I've gotten through so many of the colors I selected today. I'm amazed. This Minotaur hide. That's the next thing. That's what we're going for next. Shake that. I'll just get the last of that paint out. Where can it go? It can go there. It can go there. Down that side there. Okay, cool. M14, what do you got here? So it's a brown rat that got into a flower, into the flower, or a white rat that slid down a hill. Okay, M14. I prefer that it is a white rat that slid down a muddy hill. I prefer that as an option. Can we go with that one? Wait until you see what happens to the front of it. You'll be shocked. I've got some appalling green colors here that I'm going to use. You still want to figure out how many of them you can stick into a potato sack with a couple of rocks and drop off a bridge. Oh, okay, all right, okay, all right. All right. Ah, dear. Issues. Okay, so lighter color. Over here. which means I'm going to have to be very, very careful about how much paint I put on. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Can you see the difference that's occurring there? I can. I don't know if you guys can on the camera. That's the problem. No, we're not going highlighter pink. That is not happening. My miniature, I'm not doing pink. I've got some red here, and I've got some ruby skin, but it is not pink. We are not pinking this little. It is not Pinky the Brain. We are not going there. No Pinky the Brain, because that's exactly the sort of comments that'll come next. Is like, oh look, it's Pinky the Brain. And I'm not saying that I don't like Pinky the Brain. I'm fine. I like the cartoon. Pinky the Brain is fine. He's trying to take over the world and all that sort of thing. But no, we're not pinking him up. I just don't find monsters that are pink terrifying. It just doesn't work for me. The whole idea is that to be terrified of the thing. When you pull it out and stick it on the table and like, ah, that's what I want. M14. 4 gnomes in a potato sack has got to be a 3D4? No, maybe. I suppose. I don't know. It's an improvised weapon. Don't improvised weapons do 1D4? So if you have 4 gnomes, it'd be 4D4 worth of damage if you swing it. Because you've got 4 gnomes, right? So you have to add a damage dice for each one of them. Although, I suppose you could work it based off the concept that if it's similar to a different type of weapon, then you'll use those damage dice. So you could just say, well, 4 gnomes, that's quite a lot. Go with a D12. Ah, dear. The jokes are bad. The jokes are bad. And everybody leaves. Man. I seriously, I know you guys aren't probably convinced, but I honestly think that hitting it with the darker colour and then going with the lighter brown is working pretty well. And I know the lighter areas will fill up with the darker paint as well, so that's going to work. Although I think maybe I shouldn't have gone with it. I should have probably left that area black rather than going over with the white. That probably would have been a smart way. Okay, yep, slight mistake on my part. More Bob Ross jokes are incoming. It's quite, yeah, but I'm not trying to paint it like a rat. I'm not trying to do I want a scary rat monster. I don't want a rat as such. That's not it. Is there a D&D adventure that you would like to run that you haven't before? White Plume Mountain. Not because it's a good adventure though, because it's supposed to be a really bad adventure that was presented to Gary Gygax as 3 different adventures. Really, it was basically it was supposed to demonstrate 3 different concepts, and it was written into one creation. And so what they did is Gary didn't understand what the creator was trying to do with that particular one, and so he just printed it and left it as it was. And it was never intended to be done that way by its creator, but it was. That's what happened. Hence, that's probably the one I would like to run the most. I don't know when that's going to take place. I honestly got no idea. 4d12 bludgeoning damage, mate. You're my kind of person. Don't muck around. Yeah, 4d4 damage to the target. Then 4d4 damage to the target. Well, okay, all right. So you really are stacking it up. Dear. So what do you think that this thing would do to somebody? Those claws, those teeth. Would it fart? Would it have a fart attack? Would it have a smell attack? It's got to definitely impart some sort of disease. Absolutely right. So I'm going to pull this little sucker off here. Oh, look, all the blue tack stuck to the inside of here. Oh, there we go. There we go. So that you can kind of see how far and what we've got done so far. We're obviously only part way there, but I feel like it's working pretty well. There's a lot of white there, but remember there's going to be some green in here. Disease for sure, absolutely. I think that this thing should... Those claws look pretty long to me. Oh, it'll do plenty. It'll do plenty. You don't muck around. Don't muck around. This thing's all muscle. She's ready to go. She's definitely ready to go. Yes, well, I do give you Pinky the brain. That's right. Okay, yeah, Milton. I plague bearing. Now it's going to get difficult, isn't it? We've gone onto the plague area. I should have guessed. I did it. That was my fault. We went into that topic, and that was accidental. Hey, thank you for everybody who's been hanging out with me. I know that a painting live stream where I paint something a variety of colours. What do we do? Black, a couple of greys, a blue, a white, 2 browns. Is a weird stream. I am absolutely aware. So I totally understand. If you're a patron, and I know Fender is, thank you for supporting me. Thank you for everybody for watching my stuff. And wherever you are in the world, whether it be the morning, the night, the afternoon, or the wee early morning, please look after yourself, your family, and your friends. Be nice to your neighbours. And yes, I will be back. And until next time, keep rolling those 20s.